Right. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என் பேர் s.meyyappa மணிக்கம். So welcome to Picnic Panic Series 34. All right, better than cure. That's the title for today. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி just to introduce about the program. This program is basically was a so-called a workshop, speech workshop, மொத 3 series. ஸோ இது வந்து லாக்டவுன்ல ஆரம்பிச்சது. ஸோ முதல்ல ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது என்ன யோசிச்சேன்னா, சரி லாக்டவுன் போது இது மாதிரி பண்ணுவோம், நம்ம நகர்த்தா இருக்கு, பிகாஸ் த டைட்டில் இட் செல்ஃப் எக்ஸ்க்ளூசிவ் ஃபார் நகர்த்தார் பை நகர்த்தார், ரைட்? ஸோ லெட்ஸ் டூ சம்திங் குட் ஃபார் நகர்த்தாஸ். ஸோ அதனால தான் சரி ஒரு 3 வாரம் அந்த 3 சீரீஸ் இந்த ஒர்க் ஷாப் மாதிரி ஆரம்பிச்சோம் ஆன் பப்ளிக் ஸ்பீக்கிங். ஸோ அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன சொன்னாங்கன்னா, சரி நிறைய சஜஷன் இருந்துச்சு, நீங்க மற்ற ஊர்ல இருந்து பேச்சாளர் கூட்டுவாங்க, அதாவது முனைவர்கள், அதாவது நிபுணத்துவர்கள், lot of specialists, lot of achievers in their particular field and knowledgeable people, right, from various part of country. ஓகே, ஸோ அப்புறம் தான் யோசிச்சேன், சரி ஒவ்வொரு தடையும் ஒவ்வொரு ஸ்பீக்கரையும் வேற வேற நாட்டில இருந்து வேற வேற துறையில இருந்து கூப்பிடுவேன்னு. ஸோ அது வந்து 2020 ஆரம்பிச்சது ஏப்ரல் மாதம். ஸோ இப்போ வர தொடர்ந்து போய்கிட்டே இருக்கு, வெற்றிகரமாக போயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஸோ உங்க ஆதரவுக்கு மிக்க நன்றி. ஸோ சீரீஸ் 34, ஸோ 33 எபிசோட் முடிச்சு இப்போ 34 எபிசோடுக்கு வந்திருக்கு. ஸோ நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா இந்த ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் பேச்சாளர்லாம் மலேசியால மட்டும் இல்ல, சிங்கப்பூர்ல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, ஆஸ்திரேலியால இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, யூஎஸ்ல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, யூகேல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, ஆஃப்கோர்ஸ் இந்தியா, ரைட்? ஸோ வெவ்வேறு நாட்டுல இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க. ஸோ அதே மாதிரி இந்த இந்த செஷனை கேட்டு பயன்படுத்துறவங்க வந்து நாட் ஒன்லி இன் மலேசியா, சிங்கப்பூர், இட்ஸ் த்ரூ அவுட் த வேர்ல்ட், ரைட்? ஸோ we have people from Africa, Bangladesh, right, who have participated in this program and have benefited, right? And இதுல என்ன ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சியான, நிறைய பேர் வந்து சொன்னாங்க, நீங்க வந்து புது புது பேச்சாளராக கூட்டிட்டு வரீங்க, ஸோ தட்ஸ் சம்திங் டிஃப்ரெண்ட், ரைட்? அண்ட் நிறைய ப்ரோக்ராம் போயிருக்காங்க, அந்த பேசின பேச்சாளர் திருப்பி திருப்பி பேசிட்டு இருப்பாங்க, ரைட்? ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் சம்திங் யூனிக் வேர் ஐ எம் இன்ட்ரோடியூசிங் நியூ ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ், நியூ டேலண்ட்ஸ், அண்ட் தட் வாஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் மை எய்ம் டு, ரைட்? அண்ட் இப்போ போன சீரீஸ்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, இந்த பேச்சாளர் வந்து ஒரு துறையில இருந்து மட்டும் இல்ல, வெவ்வேறு துறையில இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, அதாவது விளையாட்டாளர், டீச்சர்ஸ், ஓகே, ஈவன் ஆர்டிஸ்ட், ஓகே, apart from that doctors of course. So வெவ்வேறு துறையில இருந்து, ஐடி ப்ரொஃபஷன், செஸ் பிளேயர்ஸ், ஓகே, ஸோ வெவ்வேறு துறையில இருந்து வந்திருக்காங்க, ப்ரொஃபசர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஸ்டாஃப். ஸோ we are covering different genre of area or topics and stuff. ஸோ அதனால தான் யோசிச்சேன், சரி இந்த 2 வருஷம் 2.5 வருஷம் காலகட்டத்தில், இந்த கொரோனா காலகட்டத்தில் வந்து நிறைய பேர் வீட்டிலே இருந்தோம், ஒர்க் ஃப்ரம் ஹோம், ஓகே. ஸோ நிறைய நடமாடம் கட்டுப்படுறதுனால நிறைய பேர் வீட்டை விட்டு வெளியே போக முடியல அவ்வளோவா. ஸோ அஃப்கோர்ஸ் இப்போ எண்டமிக் வந்துருச்சு. ஸோ நிறைய பேர் வந்து தாராளமாக சுதந்திரமாக வெளியே போயிட்டு இருக்காங்க, ஓகே, சுதந்திரமாக, லாட் ஆஃப் இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ் அதே, ஓகே. ஸோ தேர்ஸ் நோ ரிஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன், யூ கேன் கோ அவுட், யூ கேன் ட்ராவல் ஓவர்சீஸ் அண்ட் ஸ்டாஃப், ஓகே. பட் ஆஃப்கோர்ஸ் கோவிட் இஸ் ஸ்டில் தேர். ஸோ அதையும் ஜாக்கிரதையாக பார்த்துங்க. ஸோ மேக் ஷுர் யூ டேக் கேர் ஆஃப் யுவர் செல்ஃப், தட் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அது தவிர்த்து இந்த கோவில் காலகட்டத்தில் என்னாச்சுன்னா, நிறைய பேர் வீட்டில் இருந்து வேலை பார்த்தனால ஒன் குட் திங் இஸ் வீட்டு சாப்பாடு, வீட்டு உணவு. So that was good, okay, but அதை சாப்பிட்டனால லாட் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் ஸ்டாப் எக்ஸசைசிங். இந்த உடல் பயிற்சி இல்லை, அதெல்லாம் என்ன வெயிட் போட்டுருச்சு. அண்ட் சில பேர் என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா, இந்த கிராப், இந்த ஆன்லைன் ஆர்டர் பண்ணி வீட்டுக்கு டெலிவர் பண்றாங்கல்ல, அந்த சாப்பாடு சாப்பிட்டோன்னு என்னாச்சுன்னா நிறைய பேர் வெயிட் போட ஆரம்பிச்சிச்சு. ஸோ தேர்ஸ் அ பேலன்ஸ், இம்பேலன்ஸ் ஆன் த டயட். ஸோ தட் இஸ் ஒன் இஷ்யூ. ஸோ அதை ஒட்டி ஒரு டாபிக் பண்ணலாம்னு யோசிக்கும் போது தான் ஒன் ஆஃப் த ஸ்பீக்கர் டுடே கால் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் டு மீ. ஈவன் ஷி வாஸ் ஃபாலோயிங் மீ ஃப்ரம் த பிகினிங் சீரீஸ், ரைட்? ஸோ தட்ஸ் வாட் ஐ தாட், ஓகே, லெட்ஸ் டாக் சம்திங் அபவுட், ஆஃப் கோர்ஸ், டயட். ஸோ நிறைய பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க மருந்தே உணவுன்னு. நான் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா, உணவே மருந்து. ஸோ அதான் முக்கியமான பொருளுங்க. ஸோ இட் இஸ், the title is supposed to be prevention better than cure, but நான் ஒரு கேட்சியான டைட்டில் வச்சேன், better than cure. ஸோ வருமுன் காப்புன்னு சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல. ஸோ நம்ம எது வருதுனாலையும் இதை ஒரு ஷீல்டு மாதிரி வச்சுக்கணும். ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை we going to learn today, okay, about diet itself, okay. So before we move on to the speaker, a few house rules, okay. This session is being recorded, so I will upload this on my YouTube channel, okay. I'll also share you the link later, alright, on my YouTube channel, so you can always watch all the previous series. And apart from that, kindly unmute your mic, okay. So later question answer session varumbodhu you can ask questions, okay, no problem on that. And of course you can always on your camera, there is no problem, okay. So the speaker will be actually presenting to you around 30 minutes. And adukapram வந்து நீங்க கேள்விகள் இருந்தா இல்ல அல்லது ஆலோசனைகள் இருந்தா நீங்க கேட்டுக்கலாம், இல்ல பகிர்ந்துக்கலாம், any ideas that you have, okay, along with the topic itself, okay. So let's go straight to the speaker for today. All right, so today's speaker, as I said, the title itself, better than cure, okay. So the speaker is a dietitian and Ayurveda practitioner in the making. All right. So because she's currently a foundation student in International Medical University in Malaysia. All right. And of course, she'll be sharing with us on the future of diet and also the lifestyle itself and something about Ayurveda. Okay. So lot of things that you're going to learn today. நிறைய informations வந்து பகிர்ந்துக்க போறாங்க உங்கள்ட்ட. So without much ado, let me welcome this girl all the way from Klang, Malaysia, Ghayathri Palaniappan. Over to you, Ghayathri.
First things first, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for having me on your show, Anna. And hi everyone, and ellarkum vanakkam. Thanks for joining. Without further ado, can we start with the slide, Anna?
All right.
So the title, like Anna mentioned earlier, it's prevention better than cure. So let's start with diet first. So a little bit intro about diet. So first of all, what is diet? As we all know, it's the food and drink that's consumed by an individual. So even when I first started dieting, I was very confused because there are numerous diets available. For example, like paleo, keto, vegan, so on and so forth. There's so much. So it only leads us to confusion. So if you were to ask me which one to go with, unless you're a celebrity or an athlete, if you're someone or you're working towards a particular goal, I would say it's best to go with a good balanced diet. Obviously, I don't have to mention things like, avoid oily food or foods that are high in sugar. These things are already, I think, we learned this from primary school. But the main thing is to have a balanced diet and to choose something that's sustainable. So if you're on a weight loss journey, then of course you need to be careful of eating lesser calories than what's required. And if you are someone who wants to put on weight, then you have to consume more. And that is something you have to keep in mind, of course. But other than that, because when you follow a sustainable diet, the good part is that you can make it a part of your lifestyle gradually. But if you were to go into a crash diet, you tend to lose track, or you tend to, after a point, you could achieve your goal, but you would end up not following after a point once you've achieved and you put on all that weight again. So that's that. And now moving on to lifestyle. Next slide, please. So we must have heard about this word lifestyle a lot. Everyone says, do you have a good lifestyle? What's your lifestyle like? Or even doctors always say, it's always about having a good lifestyle. So what lifestyle is? It's the way an individual lives. So it's not just not having a disease or not being ill, but having a good lifestyle means having a good state of mental, physical, and social well-being. So more on this in the other slides, but just to mention one important point, one of the important things to do to maintain a good lifestyle is to give importance to family time. If you live under the same roof, then meeting up for a meal. If you're somebody who's studying from hostel or you're working, in some other state or country, then, whenever you're back home, having a meal with your parents, spending time together. In fact, we did a project on Alzheimer's. I don't want to talk much about that, but we have learned that playing board games helps in preventing Alzheimer's. So that's how important board games are. So playing that with your family or friends also helps you to bond well with them. Next slide, please, Anna. Hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast, please mention it in the chat box. I have a habit of talking fast. Yeah. So another common phrase that we hear often is, do you know that our gut is our second brain? The first time I heard it, I was like, you know what? Okay, this could be just a catchy phrase. What's is this even factual? But actually it is, because I don't know how many of you experience. Let me just give you an example that is, relatable to us, which is that whenever you're stressed or you're anxious, you might have experienced, your gastric might have gotten triggered, or you might have had some digestion issue or some stomach discomfort. Or on the other hand, vice versa, when you've had a gastrointestinal problem, you could have gotten stressed or anxious. That's because they are interconnected. So there's a network of nerves that's found in our guts, which actually functions more or less as our central nervous system. And that's why our gut's called as a second brain, and that's why gut health is very important. And a small tip here, considering taking நம்ம வீட்டில் தயிர் பண்ணுவாங்க அம்மா இல்லை பாட்டி, அதில் இருக்க ப்ரோபயோட்டிக் தான் நம்ம கேப்சூலாகவும் இருக்கு. அதில் ப்ரோபயோட்டிக் பத்தாட்டி நம்ம கேப்சூல் ஃபார்ம்லையும் அதை எடுத்துக்கலாம். Moving on to the next slide, Anna, please. What is and why Ayurveda? I considered Ayurveda because just to brief you a little about how I got into nutrition. I'd like to take the opportunity to do that here. I actually at first wanted to become a doctor, following the footsteps of my grandfather. But I decided to do nutrition because I was diagnosed with PCOS a few years ago, and it was quite severe. So I tried all methods, all sorts of methods, and then Ayurveda was one of them which really helped me. And that's why when I decided to switch my UG program, I switched my mind. I decided to take up Ayurveda in the future as well, and do dietetics as the base. So as most of us know, Ayurveda is a natural system of medicine, definitely originated in India centuries ago. So little background, Ayur means life, Veda means science or knowledge. So it's, in short, it's knowledge of life. So why Ayurveda? Because in Ayurveda, a practitioner not just treats the disease, but the patient, him or herself. That's the key here. Because, okay, yes, we have an emergency, we have a health condition, we are rushing to the hospital, we want to get treated, and doctor treats us, of course. And then we might have a reoccurrence. There only the disease is treated. But why? Unless you find the root cause of it, you will not know why you got the disease. But as an Ayurveda practitioner, we work on doing that, because a Ayurveda practitioner actually has a holistic approach. Some of the ways are mentioned to you here itself, like yoga, meditation, aromatherapy, massage, oils and spices, or even detox for that matter. So all these things are taken into consideration. All these things are included in the approach. Little bit more about, just to give you an insight how it actually works. When it comes to an Ayurveda practitioner, they actually work one-on-one with the patient. So they give them insights, they give them knowledge, they find out about what they're going wrong on a daily basis, or the activities we do day to day. So little insight on that, which is under nutrition now. I don't know how many of you have heard this. The first time I heard this, I was like, what on earth is this? Because chew your liquids and drink your solids. So what does that mean? It means that when you drink water, you take a sip of water, you don't just, you drink it sip by sip, you don't just gulp it. Because there are some digestive juices that are produced, they're stimulated, and it also helps in digestion. So it's important to not gulp or drink water in haste, but take your time to drink it. And drink your solids, which means you have to chew your food well before you actually swallow it. So that, again, it helps in digestion, and also for the proper digestive enzymes to be produced and to function well. At the same time, drinking water 30 minutes before or after consumption of food should also be avoided, because the enzymes will be active during that period, and you will be disrupting that if you drink water. So if you're really thirsty, a sip or two is fine, nothing more, and make sure it's plain water, nothing else, not like how we have teh tarik and, you know, Milo ice. Once in a while, that's okay, but not always. Like how I've mentioned in the slide, knowing is not enough, we must apply. being willing is not enough. We must do. So there's no point in learning. Even I could have learned and read all these things, but if I didn't apply, I wouldn't have seen the result. The same goes to everyone. Applying is very important. So starting with something that I started doing, actually during the pandemic, I found out about this and I started doing, because I took this nutrition course on Udemy since I had a lot of time and nothing to do. So I learned about tongue scraping, which actually has helped me a lot. If it's available in the pharmacies in Malaysia, most pharmacies, but you can, most of us do have friends or relatives in India, so we can always get a copper one from there. I'm not sure whether copper one is available in Malaysia, but tongue scraping using a copper scraper is really, I think the picture is not clear, but copper is definitely more, it's definitely more advisable compared to any other scraper. But tongue scraping in itself is, actually a dentist was the one who introduced this to me. So what does it do? It improves your sense of taste. It improves the appearance of your tongue. It removes bacteria, and it improves your overall oral health and reduces bad breath. I don't know how many of us have this bad breath issues, and we do tend to use glycerine and mouthwashes, but instead of that, we can always try tongue scraping. This is something that's tried and tested and it's worked for me. And the next point is on meditation. I have no notes, nothing on meditation, because meditation is, I think, experiential thing. It's something that you have to experience. The experience from one individual to another differs. So I can tell you what the benefits I have enjoyed by practicing meditation. For me, it's made me become aware. And the second point, aware as in the sense that if, let's say, I'm feeling uncomfortable, instead of looking on the outside, I start looking on what is not okay with me. What can I do to feel comfortable in that situation? It could be I could be sweating, or it could be because there could be some thoughts that's disturbing me, so I should just avoid that at that point. Or it could be because I'm wearing something that's tight, I'm not comfortable with, or it could be something that happened right before. And another wonderful thing that I've gained through meditation is emotional immunity. Because ups and downs in life are very normal. Even myself, I myself have had ups and downs, be it academics or be it my personal life. But when you meditate, what I have learned is I tend to bounce back. Of course, I feel low or down for a day or two, but I have the ability to bounce back and somehow see the good in what's happened and take the lesson and move on in life, which is something that because we all know this, we read these various quotes and stuff, but we find it difficult to put it in practice. We lack the mental strength, which meditation gives us, is what I believe. And the third thing, obviously, is oil pulling. I don't know how many of you have heard of oil pulling, but oil pulling is something that I've also been doing. Actually, to be honest, it's supposed to be done every morning, but I don't find the time. So I do it every Sunday. We can use either coconut oil or nallenna, gingerly oil. It kills bacteria, improves oral health. And the last I read, there was an article which mentioned that there are some studies that's being done on improving digestion. So I don't know, I haven't updated myself on that yet, but that's for oil pulling. And the next one, manjal, turmeric. நம்ம கிச்சன்ல எல்லாரும் கிச்சன்லயும் Indian household, it's something that's very common. So turmeric water வந்துட்டு actually it reduces inflammation, relieves pain and boosts immune system. You can either have it in some milk or water. Bring it to a boil and add that. Cinnamon and honey is actually optional. And black pepper. Black pepper is low in calories, an excellent source of vitamin C and A. And when it comes to cinnamon, it's extremely good for gut. Remember, I talked about gut earlier. So this cinnamon is actually really good for gut. So this is something we at home have it every night. You can either have it at night or in the morning. But if it's in the morning, I would suggest you to have it after a meal, because for some people it might cause gastric. That's that. And shall we move on to the next subtopic? Keeping the time limit that's given to me in mind, I don't want to go so much on this because this is a huge topic, and it will take probably a few hours for me to even explain this alone, because when our lecturer explained this to us, it took us a few days to understand it. So it's basically about reading labels. So how many of us actually read labels? How many of us actually check the expiry date unless the food or drink tastes bad? How many of us do that? Because checking labels is extremely important. It gives you an idea of what you're consuming. So the link given is actually from a very reliable source. You can, if you're interested, you can look up on it. Yeah. Again, the favorite topic, especially for youngsters these days. And our parents keep telling us, put your phone away. But the thing is, I think nowadays, especially after the pandemic, it's children who are telling their parents, especially at home. Both my grandparents are always on their phones. Anyway, so when it comes to phones, despite what the name suggests, right, we have a tendency to put our laptop on our lap when we're using it. But actually, that can actually lead to infertility for men and cause a lot of other problems for women, because it's not supposed to be placed on the lap, and a pillow or a cushion will not do. The right way is to put it on a table or put it away, no direct contact with the body. And the next one is, one of the things that we love to do is to carry our phones in the pockets, especially men. They carry it in either their shirt pocket or their trousers pocket, because they don't really carry handbags. But that is also something we have to avoid. And unless and until your job requires you to do it, your job requires you to keep your phone on at night. Maybe you're a doctor, a surgeon, or you're in the police force. Then, etc., you can choose to switch off your phone at night, or at least put it on airplane mode and away from where you sleep. And avoid direct contact to ears. Nowadays, everything is done on the phone, and we tend to be on the phone for hours with our friends or family members who don't live nearby. Try to use wired earphones or put them on speaker. Now that WhatsApp app is available on the laptop itself, we can choose to use it, on laptop using wired earphones or things like that. Healthier alternatives. And I was surprised to know about the last point, which is that when you use a phone in a moving vehicle, it actually connects and disconnects with the tower 900 times a minute. So unless it's an emergency, we can avoid using phone in a moving vehicle as well. All right. So invest in your health. Well, for me, there's no better investment, because unless and until you're healthy, you'll only be working on getting it better, but there's nothing else that you can do. Even if you're down with just a cold or a headache, you either want to take a nap or you want to rest. There's nothing else that you can do. So investing in your health, I think, is the best investment. There are a lot of points that's here, but probably I'll just go through a few of them. Okay, so avoiding plastics, as we already know, it's one of the best things to do, and opt for the other alternative. And for women, especially, this is something I really wanted to mention. I know I've spoken about this to a lot of my friends as well. We choose to wear bras with underwire, and it's not the factor that causes breast cancer, but it is definitely one of the factors that makes a woman prone to developing breast cancer. And so opting for a sports bra, because it actually blocks the lymph nodes in our breast. So that's why that happens. So opting for a sports bra would be a good idea. And getting an annual blood work done, an allergy test done, and also one more important point, which is branded items. Branded items are not necessarily of high quality. I cannot and I don't want to mention the name because I'm not in the position to do that now, since I'm still a student, but I would like to maybe in the future. But one of the brands that we college going youngsters, especially girls, like to buy from, it's actually on the top of the list for being highly toxic in America, and this research was done by a group of researchers there. So make sure you know what are products that you're using and what you're buying. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean that it's of good quality. And people with dark skin tone or darker skin tone, it's good. Make sure you get some sun exposure, or you can consider taking vitamin D3. And and one more important, interesting thing that I learned: how to store food in the fridge. There's actually a correct order in which you can follow to store food in your fridge, and the link is given there because it's easier if you actually read that and see the images along with the explanation. You can move on to the next one. Is this the last one, Anna? Did we miss one of the points? Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, really. Okay. So, wanted to just break some myths here. There's this thing, gluten. We always see it in all the packaging. A lot of food that packaged food items. We always see gluten free. Okay, so what's gluten and is it bad? Is it unhealthy for everyone? No. Gluten is only bad for those who are intolerant to gluten. If you're not, then you can. It's not unhealthy for you if it's consumed in moderation. And avoiding rice or carbs will help in weight reduction. Definitely not, because as we all know, carbs is one of the best sources of energy. And as students, as working adults, we need energy. So avoiding carbs or rice completely is not going to help at all. Maybe consuming lesser might. That's that. And if you're a vegetarian, you're healthy. That's another myth, because I've heard this a lot, but no, it depends on your lifestyle, depends on what you're eating. If you're consuming a lot of mock meat, which contains high preservatives, then again, that's bad. All fats are bad. No, that's also not true, because there are a lot of good fats, and if someone is interested, please share in the chat what are some of the good fats that you know, or what are the functions of fat. Maybe if you're interested, you can share it in the chat box. Probably I'll have a look at it later, like the functions of fat. What do fats do in your body? Or maybe you can unmute and share. Okay. No problem. All right. So the fats. So the good fats are like nuts, fish, and things like that. So those are good fats. And egg yolks are bad. That's also not true, because egg yolks actually they contain vitamin A, D, E, and K, and they actually have more. They are highly nutritional. They have more nutrients compared to egg whites actually. So yes, of course, if you consume a lot, then it's bad. But having one whole egg a day is actually advisable. And 8 hours of sleep is ideal for everyone. That's also not true. Actually, the ideal range is 7 to 9. It depends on your lifestyle again, and depends on your requirement. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is that our body, mind, and soul are all interconnected. Like what BKS Iyengar says, health is a state of complete harmony of the mind, body, and spirit. So when you're physically not well, you have a down with a fever, you definitely you won't feel mentally fit to do or mentally healthy to do, active to do anything that you want to do. Likewise, if you are disturbed, mentally disturbed, maybe you're down or you're just you're grieving, then you cannot be physically active. So it's all interconnected. Moving on to the next one, you reap what you sow. No, and I'm not done yet. I'm just moving on to the next point. Um, you reap what you sow. So making smart choices. For example, we don't think twice before spending a few thousands on an iPhone, but we think a lot before spending a few hundreds on a silk pillowcase, which actually actually reduces irritation that a normal pillowcase would cause for your skin and for your hair. And other smart, so making such smart choices are always helpful. And educating yourself and increasing awareness. So what do I mean by that? Keeping yourself educated, like knowing what's good for you and what's not, and also making the right. For example, நம்ம கிச்சன்ல எல்லாம் வந்துட்டு பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு இது இருக்கும், ஒரு பாக்ஸ் இருக்கும், அதுக்கு பேர் வந்து தாளிக்கிற பாக்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. துவையல் சட்னி எல்லாம் பண்ணா தாளிக்கிறதுக்கு போடுவாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி இட்ஸ் கால் இந்தியன் ஸ்பைஸ் பாக்ஸ். ஆக்சுவலி அதுல இருக்க நிறைய மேஜிக் இன்கிரீடியன்ஸ். அதனாலதான் நான் சொல்றேன், நம்ம சுத்தியே நிறைய நம்ம அந்த காலத்துல இருந்து யூஸ் பண்ற விஷயங்கள் நிறைய வந்து நம்ம ஹெல்த்துக்கு நல்ல விஷயங்கள் இருக்கு. நம்ம போய் தேடி வாங்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. ஸோ அது நம்ம பார்த்து தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டாலே நம்மளுக்கு. That's why you have to be aware of what's going into your mouth, what you're eating. You actually ask your mom or your grandma. Even when you're cooking, you can try and find out what are these things that you're adding into your meals while you're making them. And then last but not the least, stay closer to your roots and go natural as much as possible. அந்த படத்துல காமிக்கிற மாதிரி சமணம் கொத்தி உட்காருன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. நம்ம வில்லேஜ் பக்கம்லாம் போனா, நான் சின்ன வயசா இருக்கும் போதெல்லாம் பண்டின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அங்கேதான் உட்காந்து ஜம்கால போட்டு இலை வச்சு சாப்பிடுவோம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி staying closer to your roots, meaning if you fold your legs and you sit on the ground and eat, that actually aids in digestion. And then we think oats and quinoa are healthy. I don't disagree. Yes, of course, oats and quinoa are very healthy, but they're not closer to our roots. We can rather go for ragi or millets. We can make porridge out of that because that's closer to our roots. Because according to Ayurveda, when it's closer to your roots, your body has better adaptability. Nothing wrong in consuming quinoa or oats. They're going to still help you, but your body will be able to adapt ragi and millets better because it's closer to your roots. So like what Asanji says, except you, no one can ever be in charge of your health, happiness, and success. So you have to make the right choices for yourself. Can move on. So that has bring us an end to today's sharing session. Thank you all for your attention, and now I can open to questions.
Alright, thank you very much, Gayatri. கண்டிப்பா நிறைய இன்ஃபர்மேஷன்ஸ் பகிர்ந்துக்கிட்டாங்க. ஸோ a lot of things or goodies to bring back. ஓகே, ஸோ கண்டிப்பாக அந்த சமணம் போட்டு உட்கார்றது வந்து இப்போ வந்து ரொம்ப குறைஞ்சிருச்சு. அஃப்கோர்ஸ் கோயிலில் பூஜை நடக்கும்போது சில பேர் சமணம் போட்டு உட்காந்துருப்போம் அந்த அவசியம் நடக்கும்போது அதெல்லாம். பட் அந்த பந்தி பரிமாறும் போது அஃப்கோர்ஸ் நிறைய கோயில்களில் இப்போ வந்து டேபிள் சேர்லாம் வந்துருச்சு. ஸோ அந்த பந்தி அந்த உட்கார்ந்து சமணம் போட்டு சாப்பிட்ற அந்த வாய்ப்புகள் வந்து இப்போ ரொம்ப குறைஞ்சிருச்சு. ஓகே, பட் nevertheless எனக்கு அந்த ஒரு கேள்வி இருக்கு. காயத்ரி, யூ ஷேர்ட் தட் எல்லாரும் தயிர் எடுத்துக்கங்க. But of course, in modern world, நம்ம வந்து சூப்பர் மார்க்கெட் போனா we have yogurt. From the shelf we can buy yogurt. So is it the same yogurt or the thair that you're mentioning is the same?
To be honest, based on what I've read, Anna, yes, they both contain probiotics. But based on this one article that I've read, நம்ம அந்த ஷெல்ஃப்ல இருந்து வாங்குற யோகர்ட்ல வந்து நிறைய இடத்துல இருந்து மாறி பேக்கேஜ் பண்ணி வரதுல வந்து நிறைய அந்த ப்ரோபயோட்டிக் அந்த பாக்டீரியா வந்துட்டு அவ்வளோ இஃபெக்டிவா இருக்காது நம்ம சாப்பிட்டதுக்கு அப்புறம். அதுவே வீட்டுல பண்ண தயிர்னா இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் பெட்டரா இருக்கும். பட் பெஸ்ட் சாஸ்ன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ப்ரோபயோட்டிக் சாஷேஸும் வருது, கேப்சூல்ஸும் வருது. அதை கன்சியூம் பண்றது would be a better choice.
ஓகே, ஸோ கண்டிப்பா தயவு செஞ்சு வீட்டில் எல்லாரும் தயிர் சாதம் சாப்பிடுங்க, ஓ அட்லீஸ்ட் மோர் குடிங்க. ஸோ அது இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், ரைட்? ஸோ அதனால அந்த காலத்துல
மோர் மென்ஷன் பண்றது, ஐம் சாரி டு இன்டரப்ட் யூ, பெருங்காயம்னு ஒரு மேஜிக் இன்கிரீடியன்ட் இருக்கு. நம்ம கூட்டுக்கறி மோர்ல எல்லாம் மிக்ஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. அது ஆக்சுவலி வயிற்றுக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப நல்லது.
ஆல்ரைட், ஃபேன்டாஸ்டிக். ஸோ கண்டிப்பா அந்த மோர் வந்து இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் திங், ரைட்? ஸோ இப்போ நிறைய பேர் இந்த யோகர்ட் பிகாஸ் அந்த ஷெல்ஃப் வந்து கிடைக்குது அண்ட் இட்ஸ் மாடர்னைசேஷன், லைக் காயத்ரி சொன்ன மாதிரி நிறைய ஸ்டேஜஸ் போயிட்டு வருது அண்ட் மேபி லாட் ஆஃப் கெமிக்கல்ஸ் யூனோ இட் கேன் ஹேப்பன் பிகாஸ் கமர்ஷியலைஸ். அண்ட் இப்போலாம் அந்த கடையிலேருந்து வாங்க யோகர்ட் வந்து சில யோகர்ட் இனிக்கும், நம்ம செய்கிற தயிர் வந்து ஆக்சுவலி புளிக்கணும், பட் அங்கேருந்து இனிக்கும். அது ஸ்ட்ராபெரி ஃப்ளேவர், மேங்கோ ஃப்ளேவர், நம்ம ஃப்ளேவர்லாம் இருக்கு. ஸோ த பெஸ்ட் இஸ் ஆஃப்கோர்ஸ் வீட்டில் செய்கிற தயிர், ரைட்? அண்ட் ஒன் திங் ஐ லைக் வாஸ் த பேலன்ஸ் டயட். ஓகே, இப்போ நிறைய பேர் என்னன்னா அந்த பிக் பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட்னு பாப்புலராக ஓடிட்டு இருக்கு இப்போ, எஸ்பெஷலி மலேசியா, சிங்கப்பூர்லாம். அதாவது அந்த ஒரு பிளேட்ல வந்து என்னன்னா ஒரு 2 சாசேஜ், அப்புறம் வந்து அந்த பேட்டி, அந்த பர்கரோட பேட்டி, அப்புறம் வந்து பீன்ஸ், ரெட் பீன்ஸ், அதுக்கப்புறம் சம் சாலட், அப்புறம் ஃப்ரைஸ். ஓகே, இது வந்து பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட்டுக்கு. ஸோ அதையும் தவிர்த்து ஒருக்கா மேஷ் பொட்டேட்டோவும் சேர்ந்துடும். ஸோ இது வந்து சாப்பிட்டாவே வயிறு வந்து நிறைஞ்சிடும் ஃபுல்லா, ஏன்னா பிக் பிரேக்ஃபாஸ்ட் அதுக்கு தான் சொல்றது. பட் வந்து அதுலேயே நிறைய கெமிக்கல் இருக்கு, நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா அந்த சாசேஜ்ல இருக்கு. ஸோ ப்ராசஸ் ஃபுட். ஸோ காயத்ரி சொன்ன மாதிரி அவாய்ட் ப்ராசஸ் ஃபுட், ரைட்? ஸோ தட்ஸ் அ குட் திங், ரைட்? ஸோ மேபி யூ கேன் ஹேவ் சம் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் த ஆடியன்ஸ். யூ கேன் அன்மியூட் யுவர் செல்ஃப் அண்ட் ஆஸ்க் கொஸ்டின், or you can put it on the chat box also. கண்டிப்பா இந்த ஃபோன் வந்து இட்ஸ் ஐ திங் பிகாஸ் லாட் ஆஃப் us tend to when you wake up, நிறைய பேர் வந்து சாமி படம் முன்னாடி முழிக்கணும், இல்ல சூரியன் முன்னாடி முழிக்கணும், அந்த மாதிரி தான் ட்ரெடிஷ்னலி தே தாட் us. பட் இப்பெல்லாம் நிறைய பேர் காலையில எந்திரிக்கும் போதே ஃபேஸ்புக்ல தான் முடிக்கிறாங்க, இல்ல இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்ல முடிக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ that is one bad habit. ஸோ காயத்ரி சொன்ன மாதிரி try to avoid phone, you know, especially when you wake up and when you're going to sleep, right? So one thing I started practicing since this year, right? என்னன்னா தூங்குறது முன்னாடி I don't look at the phone, okay? So especially after 9:30, 10, when I'm done with the phone, then I'm done, right? But the next thing is when early morning, only when I having breakfast I look at the phone. So அதுக்கு முன்னாடி I don't look at the phone at all, right? So it's something for you all to practice. Let's look at the message. Right, yeah, many complain of lactose sensitivity, thus leading to avoid thyroid. So what's your suggestion?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I've heard about this also. Actually, it is not exactly right unless you are lactose intolerant. Like I mentioned earlier, unless you're gluten intolerant, unless you're lactose intolerant, thyroid is not going to. Maybe you can avoid. There are some studies being conducted on avoiding milk because it causes lethargy, but studies are still ongoing. When it comes to thyroid, I think it's fermented. So unless you're intolerant to lactose, I don't think that there should be any issues in consuming thyroid.
All right. So hope that answers the question. All right. So ஆமா கண்டிப்பா நிறைய பேர் இந்த ஒர்க் அந்த கேக் செய்யும் போதும் கேட்பாங்க, is the audience or the attendees lactose intolerant? All right. So that's a common word being used every time when they do all these cookies, bakeries and stuff. All right. So one thing I liked was reading label. All right. So kandipa I think I'll organize another session just for this. All right. Because most of us நம்ம வந்து லேபிள் பார்க்கும்போது எக்ஸ்பைரி டேட் தான் பார்ப்போம். That's a normal thing. And maybe because I'm in sports, so I will look at the sugar content of that particular product, right? Especially oats or any other biscuits or stuff, right? But nevertheless, yes, reading label we need to learn. So probably maybe in future I'll organize a session specifically on that. That's great. So maybe audience, if you have any other question, or you can also unmute and ask directly.
While waiting for questions, I actually was sort of mentioning, just got reminded. Those who are cooking, you can consider taking typhoid vaccination. Actually, it's suggested for women who cook, or women or men who cook, who are in the kitchen a lot.
All right. Good. And one thing I realize, make sure you get a proper sports attire. When you're doing sports, right? So of course, the thing is that when you have that particular sports attire, that be helpful for you. Especially avoid blisters and stuff. Right.
And also, like Anna very correctly said, having a routine, journaling, and having a couple of things to do, like a discipline routine that you do at night and in the morning right after you wake up, is also a very, very good thing to incorporate in your lifestyle, a part of your lifestyle.
Yep, that's great.
Here's another question.
Look at the question. Okay, some Ayurvedic tips for type 2 diabetic, please.
I'm sorry, but I'm still a student. And one more thing is that whatever I've mentioned here, these are for all LP individuals. So if you have any current condition or you are undergoing any treatment, it's always good to check with your doctor first before following any of these things. But as far as type 2 diabetes is concerned, you can definitely, I would suggest you to consult a Ayurveda practitioner, because they can't just give you tips just like that. They'll have to look at your history and things like that before they give you. But from what I've read, just plainly what I've read, Jeera water is quite good. I've heard about that, but that's mainly for cholesterol. I don't think it's for diabetes. And also I've heard about ladies finger pote thanni kudikra, but type 2 diabetes, I'm really not sure. I think it's good if you consider Ayurveda practitioner who's already practicing. I don't think I'm the right person to answer this question. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. So, like what you said, Ayurveda, it's specifically for the particular person's body and style and stuff. So you can't have a generic medication or suggestions for that. Okay. Normally doctor to போகும்போது they will just suggest a normal medication, but Ayurveda, when you say it's specific, individualized medications. All right, it's good. All right. And they always say about water, right? Like what you say, drink water, that's important, but not 30 minutes before or after food. Okay. Yeah. But you can always sip water. Okay. But the thing is that on the 8 glass of water சொல்றாங்கல்ல, so is that applicable to all, or do you think that maybe certain age they must drink more, or maybe certain age they must drink lesser?
Sorry, Anna, I missed the question because there was another question in the chat box. You asked me what's the ideal amount of water to consume in a day.
Yeah, correct. Because generally they say 8 glass of water, but the 8 glass, is it applicable to all ages, age group?
I don't think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think I remember reading this somewhere, and it is that 50 ml of water for 1 kg of your weight. I learned this from a spiritual workshop actually, and it does work because as you need to drink enough water to clear out the toxins in your body. So 8 glasses of water is not for everyone. Because the good tip is actually when you pinch your skin like this, you can see whether you're well hydrated or not. That's a tip. So if as long as you feel hydrated, that's best. But I think 50 ml for 1 kg of weight is what's suggested.
All right, well, that's a good technique. Okay, 50 ml for each kilogram. So let's say assume you are 60 kilogram weight. So apna you have to drink 3,000 ml, right? So 3,000 ml is like 3 liters.
3 liters. Okay. My mental calculation is very bad.
All right. So yeah. So that's something because a lot of us, of course, coffee kudikirom, tea kudikirom, but you have to understand that these are dehydrators. ஸோ தண்ணி வந்து வெளியாக்கிறோம் உடம்புல இருந்து.
Yes.
Okay, so அது ஒரு important thing. So a lot of us, we have Nescafe ice, day ice and stuff in Malaysia especially. So the important thing to take note is, hydrate yourself. And one practice that I usually do is, when I wake up, just after I brush my teeth, I will take 500 ml of water, just like that, empty stomach.
That's one of the best practices actually. It's good to have water right after you wake up.
True. And usually I leave around 2 hours before I sleep. So ஒரு 7:30 மணிக்கு சாப்பிட்றேன்னா, so let's say if I want to sleep at 10 or so usually I finish my last meal by 8. Okay, so அதுக்கப்புறம் சில பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க பசிக்கும் என்னால இருக்க முடியாது. So one is of course water, the other one is of course black coffee can be one, right, just to ensure you feel full, right? So the thing is that because இப்போ நீங்க கண்டினியூஸா சாப்பிட்டுக்கிட்டே இருந்தீங்கன்னா, there's a tendency especially in Malaysia, ரொடேஷனா சாப்பிடுவோம் நைட்ல, அப்புறம் ஃபுட்பால் பார்க்க போவோம். ஸோ அங்க இன்னொரு நசிலமா, ஸோ இப்படி சாப்பிட்டு இருந்தா then that's why your balanced diet is gone, right? It become imbalanced diet, right? Okay,
being a Malaysian, it's quite difficult actually.
True. And especially Malaysia, they always say food heaven, right?
Yeah, the paradise for foodies.
Yeah. எங்க திரும்பினாலும் சாப்பாடு கடை. ஸோ அண்ட் now with the endemic, நிறைய ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் வந்து back to 24 hours. So you can always go back at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can have a rudishanai, nasi lemak, nasi goreng, whatever. So actually I just want to clarify again, when you say the quote, chew your liquid, okay, and drink your solid. So when you say drink, நான் என்ன முதல்ல யோசிச்சேன்னா சாப்பிடும்போது அப்படி முழிக்கிறணுமா? Because when you say drink, right?
இல்ல. Drink your solids na, like you chew it in such small particles that நீங்க வந்து ஒரு semi solid formல வந்து like அப்படி அவங்க என்ன சொல்ல வராங்கன்னா, you have to chew your food properly சொல்ல வராங்க. எவ்வளவு முடியுமோ அவ்வளோ chew your solids. ஏன்னா that helps you. ஒன்று வந்து நம்ம actually நம்மளோட amount of food that we consume அவ்வளோ drastically குறையும் நம்ம அப்படி சாப்பிட்டோம்னா. அதுவும் இல்லாம டைஜஷனுக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ணும் and bloating வராது.
Okay, all right, that's good.
And someone actually asked a question.
Yeah, people do suggest to take green tea, especially those on weight loss program. What's your point on this?
Okay, before that, thank you. I think this confidence is something that I learned from people like Meyya and all to speak. But yeah, thank you. And then green tea on the weight loss program was actually, green tea is high in antioxidants. As far as I know, I don't think it helps in weight loss at all. Weight loss is all about consuming lesser calories than what's required for your what do you call that, for your lifestyle. And first of all, adan kepanga, how's your lifestyle? Is it sedentary? Is it mildly active or active? How often do you exercise and all of that? So based on all of that, only the required calories will be given. So green tea, yes, it does. Green tea has its own benefits, but I don't think it helps in weight loss.
Yeah, like what do you say, green tea? Because usually சீனி போட்டு குடிக்க மாட்டோம். So just plain green tea. So it means it's 0 calorie. So of course it doesn't add calorie to your
yes
weight.
it had yeah you're right. Yeah.
True.
But
நிறைய பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, it burns fat. It's not a fat burner. So நிறைய பேர் misunderstand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like what Anna said, it's a very good habit that you drink water in the morning right after you wake up. For those who have sinus, actually a friend of mine has sinus and he's been practicing this for quite some time. Drinking warm water in the morning right after you wake up, at least 250 ml, is very, very helpful for those with sinus or those who easily catch a cold or have nose block.
True. And basically because I'm an athlete basically, so for athletes water is obviously crucial. And they always say water is the black oil or petrol for human being. Okay, because நிறைய பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க எலும்பு வலி இல்ல தசை பிடிப்பது, muscle pain and stuff. One of the cause for all these is of course a lack of water, because basically lack of liquid, so lack of water. So obviously you need water. And what Ghayathri said, 50 ml per kilogram based on your weight. So some of you may need to drink more than 3 liter, 4 liter, right? பட் நான் வந்து எப்போ என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா அந்த ஆஃபீஸ்ல இருந்து ஒரு 1.5 லிட்டர் இருக்கு பாட்டில். ஸோ யூஸ்வலி you'll be in office like from 9 to 6 standard. So on the 9 to 6, before I leave the office at 6 o'clock, I will ensure I finish the 1.5 liter. So it means within அந்த 9 மணி நேரத்துல அந்த 1.5 liter முடிச்சிருவேன். So imagine in the morning I take 500 ml, and before I sleep I take another 500 ml, and probably in between I take probably another 500 ml. So at least there's 3,000 ml or 3 liter waters are already there. So that's something which I can share the tips, right?
And yeah, since we're talking about water, some people also tend to misunderstand that consuming other liquids is also considered in that. No, only water, plain water is consumed as, water intake. If you were to drink coffee, tea, or other things, they're not considered as hydrating. Like what Anna said, some of them are even, make you lose water instead of hydrating.
Right. True. So of course, some people will be thinking, can I take gassy drinks? But like what Ghayathri said, gassy drinks cause bloating because of the carbonated drinks, right? ஸோ அது வந்து நிறைய பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, வயிறு உப்பிருச்சுன்னா நீங்க எந்த வெயிட் போட்டீங்க இல்ல குண்டா இருக்கீங்க. ஸோ அந்த வயிறு உப்புற வந்தது could be because of gas. Okay, it's not because you're fat. It could be also because of gas, right? So that's one thing. And thanks a lot, Anne. You've been always a great support, right? So yes, like what Ghayathri said, balanced diet. But of course, if you're a sportsman or a celebrity, you're a model, runway model or stuff, உங்களோட balance diet வந்து வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay, so especially because one of the gymnastic athlete வந்து வாரத்துல ஒரு தடவை தான் ப்ராப்பர் மீல் சாப்பிடுவாங்க, லைக் சோறு, nasi goreng or whatever, kway teow. The other days they only take milk and fruits. That's their meal. Okay, or maybe if they want to have a bit heavy, they will take maybe oats. Okay, that is for gymnastics, the artistics who rotate the ball and the balloon and whatever. Okay, so all these are for gymnastics. But அதே சமயத்துல if you look at rugby players or the so-called bodybuilders, they take like at least 15-20 eggs a day because muscle building they take more. So it's basically based on what type of sports and which muscle you're focusing on. Right. So any other questions from the audience? We have the speaker over here. I can see the speaker drinking from the copper cup. Good. But நிறைய கடைகள் அந்த காப்பர் கப்பு கிடைக்குது, ஜக் or the cup or whatever. So it'd be very good for us to start practicing that. இல்ல அந்த மண்பானையில இப்ப அந்த காலத்துல தான் ஊருக்கு போனோம்னா அந்த மண்பானையில தண்ணி ஊத்தி வச்சிருப்பாங்கல்ல. ஸோ ஈவன் ஆக்சுவலி அட் மை ஹோம் ஐ ஹேவ் அந்த மண்பானையில தான் தண்ணி இருக்கு. ஸோ யூ டோன்ட் நீட் டு ரெஃப்ரிஜரேட் யோர் வாட்டர், ஃப்ரிட்ஜில் வைக்க தேவையில்லை. The chilled water is already automatically there, right? And that's a suggestion there. Adding lemon with the water during daily lifestyle will be added advantage.
Yes. Yeah, but not on a daily basis. Even like they also say ACV, apple cider vinegar, is good. Yes, but sometimes they can cause some issues with our teeth. So consuming on a regular basis or daily basis is not good. But obviously, a few times a week is definitely an advantage.
All right. So அந்த சில பேரோட உடம்பை பொறுத்தது. So you take note of that and make sure there's no side effects when you take that. But of course, again, lemon is also an antioxidant. So,
yes. Even for those who have bloating, adding a tablespoon of chia seeds in the morning with some water is also good.
All right.
Chia seeds has a lot of benefits. You can always Google it, but it's also another magic ingredient.
Okay. Well, that's a good tip. So for those who are listening, chia seed can be one of the alternatives for a healthy lifestyle, right?
Instead of always running to medicines when we have other alternatives, we could always give that a try and then only opt for medicines. I hope my grandpa is not listening to this. But yeah.
கண்டிப்பா இந்த உணவே மருந்துன்னு சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல. ஸோ கண்டிப்பா இது இஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் த திங், ரைட்? அண்ட் Yep. So the thing is that one thing that Gayatri suggested, have a family, time. So ஒன்னா ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் போய் சாப்பிடுறது இல்ல ஒன்னா உட்காந்து சாப்பிடுறது. So that's one of the thing because இப்ப நிறைய பேர் என்ன condominiumல தங்குறோம். So when we are separated, so at least find time and at least a week or what, sit down together, or go to a restaurant and sit down together and have a meal. All right. So of course, usually on a big day we tend to have this kind of a gathering, birthday, Father's Day, and New Year's Day or whatever. So the thing is that try to increase the routine, right? So that'd be a good so-called lifestyle, I would say, right? So all right, so yeah, we are coming towards end of the segment. So thank you very much, Gayatri. All right, that was a lot of valuable information. Although at the half an hour nalum, but you made it crisp. Okay, so a lot of information I shared. That was fantastic. So for the audience, you can always recommend to me if you have any other speakers or topics that you want to recommend, so I can try to reach out to the speakers and stuff. Okay, and if you have any other suggestions or ways to improve, or also do share with me. All right. So it was a great pleasure that we had Gayatri today on diet. All right. So it's fantastic. Thank you very much for all your inputs. And I will share this video, all right, on YouTube. I'll upload it to YouTube, and I share the link with all of y'all tomorrow, probably tomorrow, right, once the editing is completed. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a safe weekend. For those Malaysians, it's a long weekend, so enjoy yourself. All right. So for the rest, have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you very much. Vanakkam.
Thank you.